Well, welcome back to the When I Heard This podcast. My name is Nate Robinson, and here are Pastor Joseph Tillman, MDiv, soon to be D-Man. How are you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm doing well. We had snow down here in the South.
We did.
And it was awesome.
Yep.
I'm all about that, like...
It was a winter wonderland.
for one day. Well, kind of went into 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like 2 days of... It was 2 days of snow and fun.
Yeah.
Man, we even had some friends that brought a sled over.
Really?
Yeah.
Where'd they get a sled from?
I don't... Man, some people... I don't know. I know they go up north to visit family sometimes, so I don't know if they like travel
Stole
with a
their
sled. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but anyway, yeah. So, yeah, man. So we got to hang out in the snow and build snowmen, and
it was like powdery the first day, and then the second day just rock solid.
Well, it became that way just more and more as the day went on Saturday, and so yeah, like the actual like throwing snow at each other became like lethal toward the end of the day. Yeah, which kind of made it more interesting in some ways.
Right,
you just didn't know what was going to happen if it hit you in the face.
A little bit on guard more.
Right, exactly. So
it was fun.
It was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my kids had a blast. I mean, they were screaming and yelling and flying down a hill. And
what hill? At your house?
At our house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like,
aren't there trees in the way though?
Well, that's kind of what made it fun, right?
Yeah. So, okay.
But we've had enough of them cleared, but you go like back the house and it's got this like hill.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they started back
and
there.
Isn't there a major highway in front of it?
Yes. So we just prayed they didn't make it to the trees or through the trees into the highway.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah.
Glad you're still here and all that.
Me too.
Cool.
But they had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only a few.
That doesn't happen around here often.
No, it really doesn't.
Yeah. So you got to make the most of it when it does.
You've got to make the most of it. And yes, I know every northern in the world will make fun of us for the fact that our whole infrastructure just shuts down.
Yeah.
But that's where we're at.
Yep.
So
in the middle of the day, it was 45 degrees outside, and it was the coldest thing ever.
45. Right? At 45.
It was absolutely freezing. At 45 degrees.
I don't know if it got up that high on Saturday, did it?
No, probably
not. I don't think so. Sunday, yes, but I'm
just trying to make fun of us down here.
Well, that's fair.
It's working.
It doesn't take much. So,
yeah.
We had a good time. So, so I'm doing well. Feel good, feel rested.
Cool, me too, whatever.
Yeah.
Go to Patreon, $5. Like, subscribe, share. Oh, we're talking about the devil today. Before I do all that stuff.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
We're talking about the devil.
The devil.
Yep.
That's it. Just him.
Yes.
What's he up to?
We're gonna.
How's it going with,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to talk to him, though, today.
No, I forgot my board upstairs.
I really hope you don't have one.
No.
Okay, so yes.
Cool.
Yeah, but we're going to talk about him and dive into scripture with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Cool. Go to Patreon, $5. Like, subscribe, share, comment, follow, download. You can follow the podcast on Facebook and Instagram at When I Heard This Podcast. And next on Locals at When I Heard This. Ring the notification bell. Tell everyone that you know about the show. And go to the website where there's t-shirts. That wasn't as good as last week.
No, but we got other merch there too.
Oh, yeah.
Not just t-shirts.
Tons of merch.
Many
merch.
Merch everywhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Satan. Let's do it.
Well, I don't know if I want to put cool and Satan right there together.
Fine. Satan, cool.
I don't want to do that either.
Satan isn't
This
cool.
will be an interesting topic. How about that?
It's going to be an interesting topic.
Yes.
About Satan.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So who is the devil?
Who is the devil?
Mm-hmm.
So the devil or Satan, either way,
mm-hmm.
is a spirit being who opposes God and seeks to frustrate God's plan and lead God's people astray or even like against God. So, so Satan is a spirit being. So,
all right.
Yeah, that has fallen and we'll get into
and can't get up.
All of that. Can't get up. Well, he definitely can't get back to where he was. But anyways,
That's
and the
question
devil
for later.
Huh?
That's a question for later.
Yeah, it is. So, but the devil and Satan are used synonymous with one another.
Okay.
In Scripture. So we'll be going kind of back and forth using those words. And the word Satan actually is interesting because it can be used as a noun or a verb. So depending on its usage. And so, in other words,
Like-
it could.
Like, I Sataned to work today.
Okay. Okay. Let me put it in better terms.
Okay.
Okay. So, like, for example, so the noun would mean like the accuser, right?
Okay.
Like the Satan is like the accuser, okay? Or the adversary.
All right.
All right. And so, like, a verb would mean like Satan would be like to oppose or to accuse or to obstruct.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So it can be used either
So-
way. The Hebrew form of it can. Yes, I know. You're already thinking of all these examples, aren't you?
So, like, the Vikings are set to Satan, the
Yes.
the Rams tonight.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
There you go.
I love it.
You start just using it all the time, aren't
Yeah,
you?
here we go. Get ready for the rest of this episode to be fun.
All right, hold on.
All right.
and same thing. So that's like the Hebrew form of it. The Greek form is, or the Greek translation, Satan, devil, literally means adversary, and it refers to a title or a name.
What are all the different names for the devil?
Okay.
Every single one of them.
I don't know if I'm going to hit every single one of them,
Okay.
but I'll give quite a few.
Okay.
All right. So devil, Satan, Lucifer, the tempter, Beelzebul, the adversary, the dragon, the enemy, the serpent, the tester, the wicked one, the prince or ruler of this world,
Mm-hmm.
the god of this world, the father of lies, and the accuser of the brethren.
Okay. Is that it?
Again, I don't know if that's an exhaustive list, but that's a pretty good long list there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why does he have so many names?
Well,
Why couldn't I mean? Those are all from the Bible.
yeah.
Every single one of those.
Yes.
So the Bible just like called this character in there one thing, and then just forgot what they said, and then
No, because it's used to like describe him, right?
okay.
Yeah. So like when it's talking about him being like the accuser of the brethren.
So you can
Right,
talk about
or-
the devil. You can name the devil whatever horrible thing he's doing to you at the time as that.
Sure.
Like, okay.
Yeah. So like, if he's like the tempter or if he's the father of lies, sure.
So what is every time in the Bible that it mentions the devil?
I love the way when you ask these questions, you're like, I want every instance. We'd be here forever.
Yeah.
All right. So it's quite a lot. I'm not going to name every passage
But why?
but it talks about the devil or Satan or the Satan. So it's like, all right. So the notion of the devil and Satan actually really develops. Like you see it progressing and developing in the Old Testament, and then like really becoming like fully developed in the New Testament.
Okay.
And so
Did they think about the devil differently in the Old Testament than they did the New Testament?
yeah, you don't see that name like Satan being
Okay.
like, I think that's a lot of what begins to morph or move, because we're going to use a lot of different examples in the Old Testament where they're clearly talking about Satan.
Okay.
Sometimes they're going to use that word, sometimes they're not.
Okay.
And so it's more the idea of the fact that there is this enemy, and now it's becoming this like doctrinal theological position that's becoming more, fleshed out and developed throughout the New Testament.
Okay.
And a lot of that actually we give thanks to that, to actually Jesus is the one that really begins to make the devil or Satan, helps us as the people on this world understand who Satan, devil is.
Okay.
So anyway, all right. So in Job, and this is kind of
Here
where
we go.
we're going to start, is in
Okay.
Job. And so Job chapter 1, verse 6. One day the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and the Satan also came with them. And the Lord asked the Satan, "Where have you come from?" "From roaming through the earth," Satan answered him, and walking around on it. And then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? No one else on earth is like him, a man of perfect integrity, who fears God and turns away from evil." And there's this, so between verses 6 and verse 12, there's this dialogue between the Lord and the Satan. And I'm using the word the Satan intentionally here because that would be like the literal translation. It would be like the Satan or the adversary. So it's not used as like just a singular pronoun at this point. And so which we'll see that develop into. And so here is this interesting conversation between the Lord and Satan. And so you know that there's this being known as the Satan or the adversary, and that being seems to have access to God. In some way, some form or fashion here. And now we're reading from the book of Job. And so...
Right, this story's fake, right?
Well, yeah. So because it's in the wisdom literature category, I don't take the story of Job as literal.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's a story that's telling about this man named Job and all the things that he goes through. But one of the things it's doing as well is it's talking about this interaction between the Lord and Satan. And I do believe there's some sense of that this kind of thing is going on. Because
you mean like right now?
Right now.
Okay.
Even. Because we
about us.
Right. Because in Revelation 12, Satan is referred to as the accuser of the brethren. And so there's this...
Who does he accuse to?
He's accusing believers to the Lord.
Okay.
Yeah. And so basically, kind of like this with Job, right? Like here with Job, he's saying, well, of course Job's following you, God. Of course he is. You've blessed him. You've given him everything imaginable. Why would he not follow you?
Right.
If you take away all those things, he's going to stop following you.
And then God did.
And then God, not just immediately with a blink of an eye, but yes.
And then he talked to his friends for 40 pages.
Right. Yeah. Job does.
I've read this one many times.
Yeah.
Because I like it.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite books of the Bible, actually. And so anyway, so we're introduced to this being referred to as the Satan or the adversary. Mm-hmm. And so he obviously has some sense of ability to approach the Lord. He doesn't obviously live there. He's not living in heaven. He's not in the third heaven. And I don't actually think he's talking to the Lord in that space either. Okay. And so
they follow each other on Twitter. Because that's where they would have this type of conversation.
Right. In the modern day world, maybe. Yes. But no, so there seems to be this sense of that the Lord, so the days of the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. So in other words, the sons of God that are presenting themselves before the Lord, that's either happening like in a second heaven, or the Lord's has come, to earth, and there's an interaction there, and therefore Satan is allowed to be there in his presence.
Okay.
Because we know that Satan is not like in the third heaven where the throne room is, for example, and like where all the saints are now.
But I didn't know there was more than one heaven.
Yeah. So in the scriptures, so especially like with Paul, he speaks of being caught up into the third heaven. And so he's actually peering into the third heaven. And so that's...
Wait, is this all at once occurring, or is he appearing into a future heaven that will exist?
No, in the now.
Okay.
Yeah. So like so there's this sense of three heavens. And so most people understand that to be like, there's the heavens that like we look up and we see, like the cosmos, right?
Okay.
Like we look up, we see it. Okay.
Okay.
First heaven. Second heaven being this spiritual dimension that we are not seeing, where angels and demons are functioning.
Okay.
And then like a third heaven
is where we go when we die.
Right.
All right.
Where the throne room is, the saints that have gone before us are, And so
anyway, it's not like levels and I have to be good enough to get into it. Okay.
No.
All right.
No levels. And so anyway, so that's when we're kind of introduced to Satan, and Satan obviously does not have all power because he's having...
this is the first time we get introduced to Satan?
Mm-hmm. In this type of way, yes.
Oh.
Because, and also we understand this is one of the older pieces of literature that we have from the Old Testament.
I thought he showed up in like the first chapter with Adam. And Eve.
No. Not that early.
Second chapter?
No, there's no Job in Genesis.
I'm talking about Satan.
Oh, Satan.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the whole title of the whole thing. Yeah, that's what we're doing this week.
Is that what's happening right now?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Yeah, so, okay, well, I guess, so yes, obviously, okay, so let me go to Zechariah, okay?
Okay, that's later, right?
Yes, I know it seems like I'm moving later,
Yeah.
but I'm going to move later to go backwards.
Okay.
Right, we're going back to the
Sense.
future.
That makes sense with when I heard this podcast time. That's how we operate.
It really is.
We know who won the Super Bowl already.
Right, already got our bets in. No, wait, just kidding. No, we don't. All right. All right, so hold on a second. Let me flip
Holding on.
Let me flip over to Zechariah.
Okay.
All right.
It's way later, so that's why it's taking you so long.
Maybe.
Okay.
I'm not functioning very well right now. All right. Okay, so in Zechariah, and this is interesting because now here at this point, he's using the word Satan like a pronoun.
Okay.
And so, in other words, it's not like the Satan or the adversary.
They Satan?
It's like Satan as in like that's the name for the person.
Zer Satan?
No, just Satan.
Okay.
Just Satan. All right. So, all right. Chapter 3 of Zechariah, verse 1. Then he showed me the high priest Joshua standing before the angel of the Lord, with Satan standing at his right side to accuse him. And the Lord said to Satan, "The Lord rebuke you, Satan. May the Lord who has chosen Jerusalem rebuke you. Isn't this man a burning stick snatched from the fire?" Okay, so here in Zechariah, this is where we first start seeing Satan being referred to as Satan. Okay? Like so taking on the name of that. All right.
Wait, when you're saying first, you're thinking order of chronological order, not biblical order of books of the Bible.
Okay, I'm being specific to the name itself.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So I'm being specific to the name itself. Okay?
All right.
All right. So, okay. So, all right.
So this is the first time of Satan, the pronoun.
Satan pronoun. Okay. So let me hang on my prophets here for a minute.
All right.
And now let's do our going to the future to understand the past.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to go to Ezekiel.
All right.
28. All right. So in Ezekiel 28:12.
Okay.
Once again, we have this idea of Satan and so here it is in this is what the Lord says. Ezekiel 28.
Is Satan a preposition?
Verse 12.
In this one?
Just let me read.
An onomatopoeia?
This is what the Lord says.
Satan!
All right. All right. I'm just going to read this one verse.
Yeah.
We're going to hit some of the other stuff later.
All right.
So let me actually just read verse 13.
I'll be quiet.
Thank you. All right. You are in Eden, the garden of God.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm just going to read that's all I'm going to read from right now.
Okay.
Because we're going to come back to this passage later on.
All right.
So yes, when we talk about Satan and his appearances, yes, we would obviously, most people will start with Genesis 3.
Right.
With the serpent.
Okay.
And the serpent tempting, right, Adam and Eve.
Yep.
And then we know Satan is referred to as that ancient serpent later on in Scripture.
Okay.
Okay. And so he's referred to as the serpent later on. All right. So there's obviously the connection is made. All I'm saying is in the progression of an understanding of who Satan is or who the devil is, there was a sense that there was this enemy, but that word Satan or the word devil is not taken on until later on. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
But yes, you're correct, Nate. We first find the Satan, the devil, as appearing as a serpent, or at least influencing the serpent in Genesis 3.
He possessed a snake.
Yep.
Okay.
He possessed a snake. So, and then that snake got cursed and legs removed, and now he just has to crawl on his belly. Yep.
Right. Snakes used to have legs.
Yep. And they used to talk, apparently.
Yeah.
Because Adam and Eve understood them.
Dragons.
And Satan is also known as the dragon.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
In Revelation. Yeah, I mean, you can just take out in Revelation and get all kind of different names for Satan.
So dragons are real.
Maybe. Depends on how you want to look at it. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any more Satans?
Any more Satans? Okay. So yeah, let me. So you asked, where does the Bible talk about the devil? Right.
Right.
And so we could be here forever. I'm going to try to help us not be here forever.
All right.
All right.
Satan the question mark.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Satan?
No. All right. First John,
Okay.
chapter 3, verse 8.
Okay.
The one who commits sin is of the devil, for the devil has sinned from the beginning. The Son of God was revealed for this purpose, to destroy the devil's works.
Wait, from the beginning of what?
Okay, it seems like, so when it says like, for the devil has sinned from the beginning, I think that it's because it's in a connection there with sin, right? So I think I think it's probably referring back to the beginning of creation.
Okay.
Yeah, where Satan
or when Eve ate the apple and introduced sin and everything.
Right.
Okay.
Correct. And so more than likely that's what it's talking about, but obviously Satan is what we will see seems to be the first being to sin against God.
Right.
And so
in heaven or whatever.
Yeah, correct. Okay. And then one more verse, Hebrews 2:14, that through Jesus' death he might destroy the one holding the power of death, that is the devil.
Okay.
And so throughout Scripture, what we see is this continual...
Wait, he has the power of death?
So it's not that he doesn't hold... So...
Like he can do it, but it's not solely his...
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And so, because remember, even when even the conversation with Job...
Right.
Right? Job, God is very clear, you can't kill him.
Okay.
Right? And so really what it's talking about, holding the power of death, that is the devil. He destroys the one holding the power of death. And so understand that he doesn't have, he's not the creator of that power, but he did hold it because that is the consequence of sin. The consequence of sin is death.
Right.
And so therefore he had the power of death.
He has the power to make us sin to lead to our death.
Or he doesn't have the power to make us sin, but because sin is there, present,
right,
and tempts us. And because, we're tempted by the devil, we're tempted by the flesh, right? Like, I don't want to give credit everything. I don't credit all sin to the devil.
So if Satan didn't exist, we'd still sin.
We would still have the propensity for, or we would still have the potential for it.
So if there were no Satans or demons or nothing, we could still sin.
Correct.
Okay.
Like Adam and Eve even had that capability because they were free will beings.
Right. But it wasn't until Satan got there they did anything. So that's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah. Yeah. But but I mean, who knows? Maybe they'd stay there long enough and Eve would be like, you know what? I want to try this fruit.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
All right.
Yeah. So that's, and we're going to get into some other things here scripturally about the devil, about Satan. But yes, there's a lot here to unpack biblically about who the devil is and who Satan is.
Well, you just took my mind on a trip. All through Satan land in the Bible. It was a lot.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking chronologically, and you were like, nope, we're going to go backwards to go forwards and forwards to go backwards.
Right.
And this book is actually before this book, so it's actually forwards instead of backwards, and it's just like, oh, jeez. Anyways.
Sorry.
Hope the listeners had fun with that
or you're welcome. I don't know. Either way.
Oh, here we go with this one.
Yeah.
All right. All right. How did Satan become Satan?
All right. So there's actually a lot of lore involved in this question.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get to some of the...
That's what the nerds love.
Some of the lore, some of the myth here in a second.
Okay.
But it does seem to be that... Okay, so he's a fallen angel, and he's banished from heaven due to his pride. That does seem to be the overall arching thing here. But, so I read from Ezekiel 28 earlier. Mm-hmm. So let me...
That was after you read from...
Job. Right. But Ezekiel helped point us back to the garden.
Right, which was
before.
Anyway,
all right. Anyways.
No sense in getting confused all over again. Go ahead.
So Ezekiel 28, verse 12.
Okay.
This is what the Lord God says. You were the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty.
To who? Who is he saying that to?
Satan.
God's saying that to Satan?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we used to be pals, bro, but...
Right. You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every kind of precious stone covered you. And obviously...
Wait, so this is God talking to Satan, but in real life, not in Job.
Correct. Right.
Okay.
And so he lists all these stones that covered Satan. Your mountings and settings were crafted in gold. They were prepared on the day you were created. You were an appointed guardian cherub, for I had appointed you. You were on the holy mountain of God. You walked among the fiery stones. So we do know that he was a cherub being and so that would have been a being that was in the third heaven with the Lord, with the angels.
So Satan's a baby.
No. We've got to get like that idea of what a cherub is just so wrong.
Okay.
Like incorrect.
All right.
And so he's an angel. Okay. And so he says, and I appointed you a guardian cherub. So we know that he was anointed or appointed as a guardian cherub here, that the Lord had created him, that he was beautiful. In verse 15, it says, from the day you were created, you were blameless in your ways until wickedness was found in you.
How did wickedness exist?
And that it seems to be that God created not only us with the potential of free will, but angels as well.
And that's why Nephilim.
Let's don't go down the Nephilim trail right now, please. Let's just don't do that.
All right, fine.
So wickedness was found in you. So obviously at some point, Satan ended up committing sin, right?
Okay.
Rebelling against God.
Right.
So through the abundance of your trade, you were filled with violence and you sinned. So I expelled you in disgrace from the mountain of God and banished you, guardian cherub, from among the fiery stones. Your heart became proud because of your beauty. For the sake of your splendor, you corrupted your wisdom. So I threw you down to the ground and I made you a spectacle before kings. You profaned your sanctuaries by the magnitude of your iniquities in your dishonest trade. So I made fire come from within you and it consumed you. I reduced you to ashes on the ground in the sight of everyone watching you. All of those who know you among the peoples are appalled at you. You've become an object of horror and will never exist again. And so here in Ezekiel, it's one of these things where there's always, when the prophets are prophesying, so often there's the near and there's the future. In other words, there's the here, what's happening right here and right now, but then also there's this future tense to it as well.
Which is happening in the past.
Correct. Yeah, so for example, here, the near would be, the context would be that that they're referring here to the king of Tyre. Okay?
Okay.
But looking ahead, future...
Sounds like an auto shop.
Oh, Lord. All right. So, but in the future, it's in the prophetic language where he's using the king of Tyre, but he's also...
You changed the...
Did I change the wording of it?
The wording, pronunciation.
Yeah, no,
so I wouldn't say anything, but I still did it, so you lose.
Killing me. All right. And so he's here, he's talking about this king. I'm not saying anything his name.
Nope.
And then, but then he's using this as a type to look ahead to the future. Okay. And so that's what's happening here. And so obviously there's this sense of, verse 17, your heart became proud because of your beauty. And that seems to be the primary issue.
So he was vanity.
Yes.
That was the first sin, was vanity.
Yep. He became proud. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was like, damn, I look good.
Yep.
I'm out of here.
I'm something.
Yeah.
Right. Who needs you?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's really here it's the first time it seems that there's a reference to the creation saying, I don't need the creator.
Okay. Right.
Right.
All right. So that's what he did.
Yeah. And that, and again, that has that connection going back to the same thing Adam and Eve did, right?
Right.
Like the very first thing that
I can be really smart without you.
yeah.
All right.
Like you don't need God. God, like in other words, Satan is basically saying you don't need God. He's actually holding you back.
Right.
You would have knowledge if you don't need God. Right.
So he went and did he did a sin and then got kicked out, and the first thing that he did with Adam and Eve was get them to sin in the exact same way that he did.
Yeah. With pride being the issue.
Right.
Yes. And
Okay.
so, and now whether that's the first thing he did or not, we don't know the exact time frame between when is he thrown out
right
and when does he go to tempt Adam and Eve. Like we don't know, and creation happened. We don't know when all this occurred.
All right. So God exists,
but
he's lonely and bored. So he
false,
creates
false.
So,
God exists.
Okay.
He's not lonely and bored.
All right.
He has because he's
evidence
fully
would suggest otherwise.
no, he's fully self-sufficient in and of himself.
All right. So right.
So he chose to create.
All right. Yeah. So God decides to create angels.
Mm-hmm.
And then when does he decide to create people? Does Satan leave before he decides to create people?
These are all questions.
Yes.
That we don't really have like the greatest, clearest answers to.
Okay.
Okay. It does because we know that.
Do answers to these questions matter?
I don't know if the chronology matters completely.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I think you'd have a lot of people that would say, all right, there was God, he created heavens and he created the heavens, right?
Yeah. He needed somewhere to live.
And
right.
He didn't need somewhere to live.
Fine.
But all right.
He chose to want to need somewhere to live.
No, he actually chose a place because unlike himself, angels would be beings that would not be transcendent other than beings, right? So you had like God is a transcendent other than being outside of time and space.
And angels are not?
No, because anything that they create, anything God creates is locked into time and space.
Except angels.
Well, obviously he's given angels the ability to go from heaven to earth, right?
Right.
But they still had they had to have a place to be. They couldn't just like God is fully transcendent then. Okay. Right? Does that make sense?
Right.
All right.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. All right. So he creates angels.
Creates angels.
And one of them sucks. And his name is Satan.
Right.
And he's like, I'm out of here. And then where does he go?
Yeah. So the logical thing would be that Earth has been created and he is sent to Earth. Okay. That would be like kicked out to Earth. Although we also know that hell itself was created for Satan.
Okay.
And his demons. We do know that.
Okay. Immediately.
That seems to be the place that God created that for them. And so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And unfortunately, because when we started to sin, we became like Satan.
Okay.
And therefore we joined him in hell.
So the angels, why do they like us? Because God later was just like, you guys aren't good enough. I need to make something else that's better.
Well, that's not fully the way it went down.
Okay, then the last question is on this, I guess, unless you have more to say. But the last question is, could this happen again? Could there be Satan too?
Yeah.
And be another hell and
right.
You know what I mean?
Right. No, it's always been a question because you do see the fact that there was those that fell with Satan.
Right.
And then there was another group that fell, hence Nephilim.
Okay.
So
you brought it up, not me.
I know. So therefore, it obviously lends itself to the fact of it did happen again.
Okay. But why
if it did happen again, couldn't it happen again later on down the road?
Why were Nephilim? Why did they not get it as bad as Satan and all his people did then?
What do you mean?
Because their existence was a little better than going to hell and
but Nephilim All right, so to bring everybody else into the story, can't believe we're going down this road. All right,
this is gonna happen.
All right, so bring everybody else into the story. All right, so in Genesis chapter 6, it says that the sons of God, sons of God, which we refer to, which we know are angels.
Mm-hmm.
Angels come. They have relations with women.
Right, but
their children are the Nephilim.
Did those angels sin against God, and that's why they came down here?
Yes, the angels sinned, and that's why they ended up here.
Okay, well, why did they get to come to Earth and sleep around, but Satan's stuck tempting everybody and living in hell?
Okay, well, no, but he's not, though, right? He's on the Earth.
Okay, so why did they?
So Satan's not stuck in hell.
So did angels come down and possess people, and then sleep in their bodies, sleep with people in their bodies, and then those kids were called Nephilim, and they were really just people, but they got possessed by angels?
Okay. No, I hear what you're saying. All right. Let me read this.
All right.
And hopefully make some sense of it. I'm in Genesis 6.
Yeah.
Verse 1.
Yeah.
When mankind began to multiply on the earth and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of mankind were beautiful, and they took any that they chose as wives for themselves. The Lord said, my spirit will not remain with mankind forever because they are corrupt. Their days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth both in those days and afterward, when the sons of God came to the daughters of mankind who bore children to them.
Okay.
They were the powerful men of old, the famous men.
Okay. So the Nephilim are the kids, but I'm talking about the angels.
Right.
Right. So why did what sin against God did they commit?
We don't know exactly what happened, but obviously it seemed they rebelled against their creator.
Okay, so the question is why did they get to go enjoy themselves and sleep with all the ladies instead of be spirits and haunt people?
No, I get you. All right.
Yeah.
So let me. All right. I can't believe we're going down this rabbit hole. All right, here we go.
I'm just. This is a devil question because you said it happened again, and it's like, well,
then
why did they get it better? Why was it better for them?
Right. Now I'm in Jude.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. Now I'm in Jude.
This is the end. Near the end.
This is near the end.
Right.
Right before Revelation.
Okay.
Verse 6. The angels who did not keep their own position, but abandoned their proper dwelling, he has kept in eternal chains in deep darkness for the judgment on the great day. Likewise, Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding towns committed sexual immorality and perversions and serve as an example by undergoing the punishment of eternal fire. So here in Jude 6 and 7, it speaks again of the angels who did not keep their own position but abandoned their proper dwelling, and it's referring to those that we're reading about in Genesis 6.
Okay, so all the Nephilim died in Sodom and Gomorrah.
He's making what he's doing is he's making a connection between Sodom and Gomorrah and the sexual immorality and perversions that happened and these angels with their sexual immorality and perversions with the daughters of mankind, as it's phrased.
Okay, so that's why God killed Sodom and Gomorrah.
And so, well, okay, yes.
Right?
Yes. Because there was, but Sodom and Gomorrah, yes, sexual immorality and pride.
Right, but did all of the angels and Nephilim die in Sodom and Gomorrah?
No.
Sodom.
Okay, so all right, so let's kind of track back through this because we see that this happens in Genesis 6, the Nephilim, right?
Right.
In Genesis 7, what happens?
Oh, the flood.
The flood.
So Sodom and Gomorrah was before or after that.
Uh-huh.
In more Genesis time.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And so in more Genesis time, yes. Okay. And so this would have happened before Sodom and Gomorrah. So the writer of Jude is just making a connection between the fact that, hey, there's these angels that committed sexual immorality. Sodom and Gomorrah committed sexual immorality.
Oh.
Both were judged.
I got you. Okay.
And it seems, looking at here, that the punishment for those, like in Genesis 6, that they were kept in eternal chains and deep darkness for the judgment on the great day. So that's where they are presently.
So all the Nephilim died in the flood, and then...
You're right. Although it's interesting because the Israelites,
right,
when they go into Canaan, they come back and they report, the spies, remember?
Yeah.
Spies go into Canaan, they come back and they report, hey, there's Nephilim in Canaan.
Yeah, well, their binoculars sucked back then, and they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, it makes it pretty hard to believe there was actually Nephilim.
Yeah.
Yeah. Giants or individuals that look taller.
Right.
Yes. Nephilim, probably not. It was probably an exaggeration on their end.
Right. That's what we're going to go with.
Yeah, that's what we'll go with.
And they don't exist anymore today.
But
the lizard people do. And so do dragons. And aliens. So aliens or demons? Satan is an alien. All right. Are we done with this one? Next question. So that's the timeline. Satan got kicked out. Those angels that abandoned their post, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just got locked up forever.
Right.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
We don't know where it is.
No.
Might be hell, but might not be hell.
Probably hell.
Okay, so they're in hell.
Yeah.
So they're with Satan now, but they can't do anything.
They're locked up. Chains of, yeah.
Okay.
Or at least they're somewhere with
so
chains.
they got the same damnation as Satan did.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Basically.
Or that Satan will get, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that makes sense. So it could happen again.
It seems like it could.
Which is basically what's going to happen when the Antichrist comes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that going to be the same thing?
Not
really. No, that's not a rebellion against heaven. That's just someone possessing a guy or something.
That's whole different end times type stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about that.
No, not
right now.
Not right now.
Okay.
Please not. No. All right. Let me read one more passage.
Okay.
All right, please. All right. So Isaiah 14, verse 12 through I'll start verse 12. Shining morning star, how you have fallen from the heavens, you destroyer of nations, you have been cut down to the ground. You said to yourself, I will ascend to the heavens. I will set up my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mount of the God's assembly in the remotest parts of the north. I will ascend above the highest clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. But you will be brought down to Sheol, into the deepest regions of the pit.
Okay.
Hell, if you want to put it that way.
Sheol is hell.
Yeah. Those who see you will stare at you. They will look closely at you. Is this the man who caused the earth to tremble, who shook the kingdoms, who turned the world into a wilderness, who destroyed its cities and would not release the prisoners to return home? All the kings of the nations lie in splendor, each in his own tomb. But you are thrown out with a grave like a worthless branch, covered by those slain with the sword, and dumped into a rocky pit like a trampled corpse. And so here is this sense of that again, the Satan was in the heavens and has been thrown down. Okay?
Sometimes I feel like when Bible verses talk about Satan, it's like a contest to see who can be the meanest to him in how they write about it. This is what's going to happen to you.
Maybe.
We're going to cut all your toes off and then all your fingers off.
Right. Yeah. And then, okay, I'm going to read one final thing from Jesus. I'll just quote it. So in Luke 10:18, Jesus, the disciples have come back. They've been sent out. They come back and they report to Jesus all that they've done. And Jesus tells them, I have seen Satan fall like lightning. Okay.
Okay.
And so it is again this idea of Satan was in the heavens and he no longer is.
Lightning also comes up from the ground, though.
Well, isn't that interesting? Okay, so I'm not getting into the scientific stuff. All right. And so the whole point of Jesus, anyway. All right. So Jesus is just saying, again, Satan was there and now he's not. So one of the things that has thrown about a lot is the idea that Satan was a worship leader in heaven. Have you heard this before?
No.
Yeah. So it's especially like in charismatic circles.
Did he play the acoustic guitar? And wear Converse.
Right. And skinny jeans?
Yes.
I don't think
slightly ripped up skinny jeans.
Right. They had to be slightly ripped up, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not that I know of.
Did he have a tasteful Christian tattoo?
You just go stereotype all these guys, aren't you? Yeah. Yeah. It's okay.
Half poking out of his short sleeve T-shirt.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I win.
All right. So whether Satan was or not like this worship leader, it's not really. It doesn't seem to really play there. There's a passage that refers to Lucifer,
mm-hmm.
and it does talk about him with instruments, but it doesn't seem as if it's calling him like the chief,
mm-hmm.
worship leader per se, right?
I mean, this makes sense. Everyone in a band always gets caught up in something.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting too, though, is like you're right, because like what's interesting to me too is like music, especially in church, can be so divisive. Like it can be one of the most divisive things in church, mm-hmm. between the traditional and the contemporary and all that stuff. Yeah. Like I have seen so many times where music and the music department or the music ministry, whatever you want to call it, has become like the source of division and issues and drama. And so I can see where people want to attach those things to that. But scripturally, it doesn't seem like it's clear that Satan is actually this worship leader as some would propose.
Okay. So God told him to go back into the studio and make some tweaks one too many times. And he was like, you know what? I know what I'm doing. I'm out of here.
You can go with that theory if you like.
That's what happened.
You can go with that theory if you'd like.
And then he started his own band.
Right. He thought he was something little. He thought he was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, when it talks about him wanting to ascend a throne and be like the Most High. And,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What is the devil like?
All right. What is he like?
What kind of attributes does he have?
Yeah. All right. Well, if we just go by his name,
mm-hmm.
Satan.
Yep.
Okay. And that's the name that, Jesus will ascribe to him, whether you use Satan or devil, both meaning accuser. So I'll start with there. So he's an accuser.
Right.
And then we also know, like in Revelation 12, when it talks about the fact that he's the accuser of the brethren. And so that's what he's doing. It's just like he's constantly making accusations against people. And I think he's doing this in a couple of ways. Okay. One, to the Lord. Okay. So he's constantly making accusations against God's people. All right. Basically, hey, God, don't you see what these people who say that they're yours, that they're Christians, don't you see the way they're acting? Don't you see what they're doing? Shouldn't they be judged for these things? Shouldn't you hold them accountable to this?
So he is simultaneously encouraging us to sin and then telling on us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that's the other part of it. As the accuser on earth, I think we're receiving accusations against our own identities.
Does God care
that Satan is doing this?
He knows everything. Is Satan at all ever influential?
No.
Okay.
No.
So he's just pissing in the wind.
Right.
At God.
Yeah, at God.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think he's kind of railing against God because there has to be something that gets him a little bit, because for you and I, we do have forgiveness offered to us.
Oh, that gets the devil.
Yeah.
Not that gets God.
No.
Nothing will get God that Satan says.
No.
All right.
No. But the fact that, for example, you and I get forgiveness. Forgiveness is it's offered to us, right?
We have access to it all the time.
All the time.
Okay.
And so when we do something wrong, judgment is always met with mercy because of the blood of Christ.
Okay.
And that's something that's not even offered to Old Testament saints, right?
Right. Unless they killed something.
Yeah. Yeah. They had to go make their own sacrifices and go through that, where we have the one sacrifice, the one sacrifice for all time, for all people, right? Mm-hmm. And so in Jesus. And so there's got to be something that's got to frustrate Satan, the devil, about that.
Right.
that there is forgiveness, that we're not just going to be just tossed out. But then, that there's this side of mercy and grace with God toward us, that he knows his end. And what's interesting is there's actually been grace given to Satan.
What? Really?
Yeah. If you think about it this way.
Okay.
And people may argue
from a certain point of view.
Right, from a certain point of view. And people may argue the technicality of the word I'm using. Okay. But the technical term of the word grace I'm using. But if grace is the fact that, if mercy and grace are the fact that we are not receiving what we deserve. Maybe mercy is a better phrase here, because mercy is we're not receiving what we deserve. That's mercy.
For the bad things that we do.
For the bad things that we've done. That's mercy, right?
Okay.
So for Satan, mercy is the fact that, and maybe even grace too, like the fact that he's not receiving that punishment of just damnation yet.
Oh, and he gets to have fun and do whatever he wants right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, not obviously he's got parameters upon him.
That's a little bit of mercy.
That's a bit of mercy, right? Because and a bit of grace that he's getting something he didn't deserve.
Okay.
Right? And so those two things, it kind of exists for him, because I mean, it would have been nothing for God to have just been like, I'm done with you.
Yeah.
Out. Not just out like away.
Clap on, clap off.
Right. Like Thanos snapping fingers and just gone.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's, to me, that could have been Satan's end.
Right.
And so if you look at it from that perspective, mercy and grace has always been an attribute of God, even with the Satan.
Okay.
And so I think that's a pretty remarkable thing, but I don't think he necessarily sees it that way.
Okay.
Because he does know that his judgment in the end is eternal death and punishment and torment day and night.
So does he have any interests other than messing with us?
I think he wants to do as much damage to creation as he possibly can.
Okay.
And I think he wants to, and that's all of creation, not just humankind, but all of creation.
Does he try to do stuff to angels or God, or does he only attack us?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously the fact that we see in Scripture moments where the enemy is actually at war with angels.
Okay.
So we see this. So I was in Jude earlier,
and
Jude mentions this very thing. And so in Jude, there's only one chapter here, but in Jude, it says in verse 9, yet when Michael the archangel,
you did the meme. The archangel.
Yeah, verse 9 of Jude.
Did you make snow angles last weekend?
Maybe. They were perfect. All right. They're cute, obtuse. Anyway, all right. Yet when Michael the archangel was disputing with the devil in an argument about Moses' body, he did not dare utter a slanderous condemnation against him, but said, the Lord rebuke you. So even here, and this is an interesting thing, like we don't see this anywhere in Scripture.
Okay.
This argument about Moses' body, but apparently Michael and the devil were in this argument about Moses' body, and then Michael just rebukes the enemy by just saying, the Lord rebuke you.
F off, dude. Like, that's basically, he finally was just like, dude, whatever.
No. So, no, because Michael wouldn't have been like that. He would have, anyway, but the Lord rebuke you.
Are you still here?
Right. But
what are you doing?
The Lord rebuke you. And we see, for example, in Daniel, there's another instance where there's a fight between the devil and I think is it Gabriel at that point that is fighting and trying to bring an answer, if you were, to earth because of Daniel's prayers, and he's held up by the enemy. So anyway, my point being is, so there's definitely wrestling between the devil and his angels, his powers, his principalities, all those, all that with the angels. There's definitely spiritual warfare in that sense happening. But then I think that when I was talking about accusations earlier, because how many of us are accused, or do we feel accused? Do we have thoughts of accusation against ourselves? When we accuse ourselves, when we belittle ourselves, when we think less of ourselves than we should,
for stuff that we might not even have done wrong.
Right. All right. So for me, just a recent example of this. All right. So
story time.
Yeah. Well, because, all right, we had snow day, and then we had snow weekend. And so I sent out a text message on Saturday being like, hey, to a lot of our leaders, to other pastors, what do you think about canceling church? What should we do church, not do church, And we ended up making the decision to cancel church on Sunday.
Because we had 2 inches of snow, and it was the worst ever. It's the worst it's ever been, and it was so cold. Oh, it was cold.
Well, Sunday morning, it was 18.
It was Antarctica. 18. Down here.
For us, it was.
Yes.
For us, it was. And for us, I know every Northerner listening to this is making fun of us right now, but for us, our roads are not ready for this. Our vehicles are not ready for this kind of stuff. We have ice. That becomes the issue.
Right.
You get the black ice. That becomes the issue for us. And so I was concerned about our congregation, and especially individuals that were older. I didn't want anyone to try to even risk getting out and it not be safe. So we ended up canceling church. Dude, I was a mess for 24, 36 hours after that.
Why?
Because I hated the fact that I canceled church.
Well, you don't have time to do more funerals right now.
But no, I just, yeah.
It makes sense.
I just can't do anymore. Yeah. Self-preservation.
I'm all funeraled out.
Self-preservation at this point. Yeah. But no, I think that for me, it was really just, I just couldn't, I was so, I guess, feeling accused, if you want to put it that way.
Of robbing God of his day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of canceling church, of not meeting together to worship. I had the pit in my stomach feeling all night Saturday night. Sunday was I was just all out of sorts. And anyways, so it's interesting the things we accuse ourselves of, or that we can accuse other people for, right? And then we end up being kind of like Satan in that sense.
Come in here, kids. I need to tell someone about Jesus today. I don't know what to do with myself.
Well, it was so much more than that. I almost felt wrong.
Yeah.
To cancel church.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
So Satan's a bad guy.
He has an accuser, and then I'll just name a few more things that we all know, or that we've heard before. He's out to steal, kill, and destroy.
Yeah.
He is a murderer.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. He's a murderer, right? He's a liar. He's the father of lies. And he's really the distorter of truth.
Okay.
And we see this in what he does against Eve. And, in one passage we never even brought up, and maybe we'll bring it up the next episode, is the way that he distorts truth with Jesus in the desert. And so he's a distorter. He's a distorter of truth.
Okay.
And so he actually quotes scripture.
Right.
But he took
a verse out of context.
Yes, he's misusing
it.
Correct. And so, anyways, when you ask what the devil is like, that's at the core of who he is. That's who he is. He's an accuser. He's out to kill, steal, and destroy. He doesn't care. He doesn't love. He wants to invoke fear and intimidation and manipulation and domination. That's what he wants to do.
We're gonna have to do another part of this.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
Because there's 6 more questions about Satan.
Yep.
And we're going to have to do that. So stay tuned next week for more Satan.
Everybody's all excited.
Yeah. Well, this has been the When I Heard This podcast. You can follow the podcast on Facebook and Instagram at When I Heard This podcast, and X and locals at When I Heard This. Go to Patreon, $5. Like, subscribe, share, comment, follow, download. Ring the notification bell. Tell everyone that you know about the show, and go to the website where there's t-shirts. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Nate Robinsoff, and you can follow Joseph on Instagram at
Rev Joe T.
This has been the When I Heard This podcast, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.